So we have a very special treat coming up. How many out there are familiar with Music Theory Augmented? How many of you are here only because you want to know who Music Theory Augmented are? Yeah, that's me too. That was actually the only reason that I organized this event, because I just needed to know. I contacted Music Theory Augmented MTA and asked them, because I did not know who it was, that they wanted to be the keynote speaker, and they humbly accepted. And it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote talk. Music Theory Augmented. Oh man, you put German in this. This isn't. Just for the record, I do like. Yeah, I mean, I do popular music studies. You caught me. Ashley Grosshaus-Heiden, also known as Die Dame hinter dem Vorhang, the lady behind the curtain, was born in Eisenstadt on the 17th of January in 1763 and subsequently adopted by the late Joseph and Anna Haydn on the 24th of March of that same year. Following her initial musical instruction under Papa Haydn, she was accepted into the Historische Musikwissenschaft program at the German University of Prague in 1886. After working under her advisor, Guido Adler there, she successfully defended her dissertation, London Bridge is Falling Up, the Politics of Anti-Madrigalisms in 18th Century Nursery Rhymes. Shortly thereafter, she joined the faculty of Starfleet Academy as adjunct instructor in Systemische Musikwissenschaft in 1896. She spent the next several decades in Haydn, emerging only to found the journal Music Theory Augmented on her 250th birthday, the 17th of January in 2013. Feeling carefree at 253, Grosshaus-Heiden remains actively involved in the field with her current research ventures pertaining to the secular cantatas of 18th century Klingon composer Hulazok Dolopin. It is my pleasure to introduce keynote speaking for the night, Music Theory Augmented!
For that wonderful introduction. I do have a few handouts while we get the slides sort of ready to go. Attendance far exceeded my expectations, so I'm going to have to ask you to buddy up and share, so come here. Maybe one for you. I need 6 copies for myself, so... but as per custom, of course, the handouts are really just a crummier version of my PowerPoint, so...
God.
Good evening. Before I begin, I do wish to thank the AMS After Dark Steering Committee for inviting me to participate in this highly prestigious panel. It's really quite an honor. So the title of my keynote tonight is Tumbling and Tweeting for Tenure, Advice for Assessing Academic Assessment via Advancement, via the Digital Humanities. Slide 2. It is oft said that, quote, a picture is worth 1,000 words, end quote. But how many words, then, is a GIF worth? Furthermore, how might the digital popularity of a GIF-based post relate to its scholarly value and significance to the field? Questions such as these are of critical importance to today's tenure review committees. Through tracing the history of the idiom, a picture is worth 1,000 words, in conjunction with an integrated analysis of graphics interchange format, GIF file frame count averages, and median click values of individual posts, this paper aims to ponder long overdue solutions to the problem of tenure value assessment in postmodern e-scholarship. To begin, It is important to note that digital finesse is clearly an essential skill within the various fields of music scholarship. I draw your attention to example 1, which illustrates the regrettable results when scholarship lacks digital finesse. The diminished clarity of the musical score for this 21st century work titled Pixelated Score I Ripped from IMSLP renders it all but useless in augmentation of one's scholarship. Effects of low-quality images such as these often include disdainful and confused audiences, perplexed students, and perhaps worst of all, lack of publication and citation of one's scholarship. This lack of publication and citation is certainly the most difficult of these obstacles to overcome with respect to academic advancement and promotion. So this paper will explore the use of popular online publishing forums, utilizing Tumblr and Twitter platforms as primary and secondary sample mediums respectively, and their significance in the attainment of tenure. I have chosen to focus primarily on Tumblr because it is a platform with which I am particularly familiar. For nearly 4 years, I have regularly published my scholarly work on a Tumblr publication called Music Theory Augmented, abbreviated MTA, primarily through GIF-based posts such as the one you can see on the screen. If you are not yet familiar with this collection and are interested, you can access it at musictheoryaugmented.tumblr.com. I think I speak for most of us when I say, Gloria Patri for free and open access. So links to my Tumblr posts automatically appear on MTA's Facebook and Twitter feeds, and Twitter was the logical choice for a secondary source platform, as it afforded a convenient opportunity for alliteration in the title of this presentation. For tenure review committees evaluating today's scholars, who, like myself, regularly publish their scholarly work online, weighing the scope and relevance of these online publications is an everyday necessity. Yet, very little previous work has been done relative to designing a logical method of measuring the worth of these publications. It is with this in mind that I propose a mathematical approach. So, how much prose is a GIF worth then? To calculate this, it will first be necessary to determine how much prose a single frame of a GIF, also known as a static image or picture, is worth. As seen in example 2, in Ivan Sergeyevich Turgenev's 1862 novel, Fathers and Children, one character remarks, quote, "A drawing represents to my eyes what demands 10 pages of description in a book," end quote. However, not all GIFs are drawings. Some are derived from animated cartoons with more from animated cartoons and other drawn mediums, but many are taken directly from videos and television with more photographic perspectives. Fortunately, Turgenev's original phrase has since evolved. A 1913 advertisement shown in example 3 for the Piqua Auto House of Piqua, Ohio, begins with the phrase, quote, "One look is worth 1,000 words," end quote. The ad goes on to encourage customers to visit the store in person to see what they will buy, rather than purchasing products from a catalog. As you will see in example 4, nearly a decade later in 1921, Fred R. Barnard, the national advertising manager for the Street Railways Advertising Company, used the same phrase, "One look is worth 1,000 words," in an advertisement that appeared in Printer's Ink, an American trade magazine which launched in 1888, changed its title to Marketing/Communications in 1967, and continued publication until 1972. Immediately following this phrase, Barnard attributes the words to a Japanese philosopher. As shown in example 5, a little over 5 years later, Barnard printed another ad in the same magazine. This time he changed the phrase to "one picture is worth 10,000 words," and cited it as a Chinese proverb. And you'll find this quotation in the picture just below that picture of the tattoo you got in Cancun during spring break of 1996. You know, the one that they told you translated as "love always," but that you later found out actually means 10,000 winds blowing through small hut. I would like to thank the many members of the Society for Ethnomusicology who have graciously volunteered their services in translating my tattoo, that prop for me. It seems likely that Barnard's inconsistent attributions of the slightly differing phrases to Japan and China were attempts to give the sayings gravity for his readers rather than legitimate evidence-based citations. Furthermore, it would appear that truth in advertising took a back seat to salesmanship, much as it may in some cases today. To further this point, if we return to example 4, we will see that Barnard's earlier advertisement claims that his company's streetcar advertisements had the potential to reach 10 billion passengers per year. That's billion with a B. Census data from the year prior lists the U.S. population at 106,021,537 persons, about 1% of 10 billion. There were not even 10 billion people on the planet in 1921. The current global population is the highest it has ever been in recorded history, and we still fall significantly short of the 10 billion mark, somewhere around 7.4 billion. In sum, the advertising value of this statement was prioritized over accuracy. Unfortunately, this also diminishes the credibility of Barnard's valuation of a picture at 10,000 words. The more accurate and commonly accepted version of the idiom appears on page 465 of the 1992 Dictionary of American Proverbs and reads as follows, quote, "A picture is worth 1,000 words," end quote. So then, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, the number of pictures, the number of static images, the number of frames in a GIF should lead us to the amount of prose a GIF is worth. Some Tumblr posts consist of a single static image, such as the one shown in example 6. This is a melodic reduction of the sound your stomach makes after you've just speed-eaten questionable ethnic food for lunch, an aria from AMSMT's well-known opera, Afternoon Paper Session. Static image posts comprise only a small portion of scholarly Tumblr output. Other Tumblr posts use GIFs that are animated, and thus Other Tumblr posts use GIFs that are animated, and must therefore consist of at least 2 frames. On the other end of the spectrum, the largest GIF that I was successfully able to upload to Tumblr was a 160-frame file. In essence then, a vast majority of animated Tumblr GIFs are somewhere between 2,000 and 160,000 words. However, 2-frame and 160-frame GIFs are both relatively rare. Most Tumblr GIFs fall within the 10 to 50 frame or 10,000 to 50,000 word range. Academic Tumblr posts typically consist of a single animated GIF, so most Tumblr posts then are worth 10,000 to 50,000 words. Let us then assume that a book contains a minimum of 150 pages and that about 250 words constitute one page. A book then consists of, at minimum, 37,500 words. If we divide this minimum of roughly 37,500 words in a book by the estimated typical minimum of 10,000 words in a Tumblr post, we find that 3.75 Tumblr posts are worth roughly 1 book. But what about readership and significance to the field, you exclaim? Fret not, distinguished colleagues, as one viral post can receive more views than most hard copy books, apart from maybe a few standout titles such as the Bible, the Harry Potter series, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, 50 Shades of Grey, and of course, Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal. Take, for example, MTA's 3rd anniversary post. To date, this post has received over 9,700 notes. If we assume that some people both liked and reblogged this post, we can go ahead and divide that number in half. And this conservative estimate is still comparable to the entire membership of the AMS deciding to read your stupid article. In addition, and this post received a favorable review in the esteemed periodical Classic FM within 3 months of its original publication. To conclude, any author of a scholarly e-publication with 4 or more animated gift posts and at least 50 followers should be immediately promoted.
Ask questions.
I'll take some questions.
So of course I hate hogging the mic, but so thank you so much for this, because that means that when my one submission has gotten me a 1/4 of the way to tenure. I can't get over the fact though that you keep saying GIF. I mean, we all know it's GIF.
Yeah, so the creator of this file format has said that it's GIF, but that's peanut butter first of all, and also, I mean, would you pronounce it giraffics? Do these things have long necks? I don't know. I disagree with his logic, so I think he's wrong, but that's a very valid point, and I think that's very worth considering. Oh, he went back to saying GIF. I didn't even know that. So it's almost like this is historically appropriate word pronunciation.
So this isn't so much a question, but a comment, because I would like to point out that not all symbolistic tattoos lack meaning, because, of course, they do exist. But just to follow up with that, with a somewhat related question, I also want to point out that I have concerns about your research, because I definitely agree with the KJ concept that all noise is music, but you somehow failed to mention any of that in context to this.
Yes, in response to that, I think we should all give her a round of applause for that very musical performance we all just heard.
Yeah, I have a huge problem with this paper. I thought it was a disaster. I thought it was terrible. You said some nasty things, and I think you're a nasty musicologist for saying it. Now listen, I have a dissertation. It's the best dissertation you're ever going to see. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. It's going to do things you never even thought you could see. And if you knew as much about musicology as I knew, you should go up to any other musicologist and grab them by Debussy.
Well,
Wrong!
I think we can all agree that I am a nasty woman. But yeah, I'm gonna let you all think about what he just said. I don't think I need to elaborate.
So now that we know there are so many of us out there who are undeserving of the current minor positions we hold in our universities, do you think we should start a panel or a group where we really talk about all of the scholarship we've done and, you know, how we all deserve tenure, and maybe we should also add in some, you know, sexuality aspect in there as well, maybe some accessibility panel as well. What are your thoughts? We could do this at 7:30 in the morning tomorrow.
On Sunday.
You're right, on Sunday. I'm sorry. You're right.
Man, you know, I've thought about this a little bit before, and I guess when I think about these things, I try to come up with names for them, and I don't know. Really, all I can come up with is, I mean, we're in America right now, obviously. I'm so sleep deprived that I don't remember any of the last 24 hours or planes or anything like that. But so it would start with maybe American, and we would be a society, of course. And I mean, the only thing I can think of to put in the middle would be like the study of music. I don't know, the American Musicological Society? We could call ourselves that? Does that seem appropriate?
I would just like to piggyback on that last comment. I just, it really got me thinking that if we all got tenure right now, because we clearly deserve it, it would really promote this inclusive atmosphere that is absolutely the goal of the modern university, and therefore we could really make the university a safe space for everyone that decided to go to grad school for musicology.
Yes. So if I were elected president, I would continue some of the programs that my predecessors have created to make universities a safe space, and this includes, of course, Barack Obama's introduction of Title IX. So I think that these are important things to consider, and also important things to remember, of course, when we're teaching our students.
But you're excluding the music theorists.
Well, I thought that it was all a given. I mean, you all are lovely human beings, so. I'm not a musicologist, I should tell you. I'm a music theorologist, so.
Hi, I'm from the Edwin Mellon Press, and I wanted to let you know that during the Q&A session, we have taken your material and it's now published. There's some problems with the copy editing, but I just wanted to let you know that you now owe us $250, and we'll take that by check or cash after the session's over. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll be sure to forward my ASCAP royalties right your way.
Let's give it up a final time for Music Theater Augmented. Thank you so much.